Here's Franjic. Derbyshire, there's the equaliser. And it had to be Matt Derbyshire, their leading goal scorer. Finds Shushnia linking up with Tommy Orr. We know how dangerous his deliveries can be. And Shushnia knocks it in at the back post, and Macarthur will lead at half-time.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of Bull Banter, the podcast where two brothers from the Southwest talk about the Macarthur Bulls, A-League, and all things football. You're joined by myself, Blake Sims, and accompanying me on today's podcast is none other than my brother Daniel. How are you, mate?
Mate, good as usual. Excited to talk about this one since we got a win during the week there. And let's crack on with this one.
Yeah, and of course, we always have to start the podcast by immediately plugging ourselves. Make sure you follow Bull Banter on Instagram, Facebook, go to bullbanter.com, and find out all the amazing content that we're putting up for you guys. Let's get into this one. It was something great to behold, wasn't it, Dan?
Yeah, of course. Always good to get 3 points, and obviously the conditions made it that sort of gritty game, and we really dug deep, I think, for 90 minutes there and really held Western out. So, yeah,
it was good to get a bit of revenge over them. We're looking into this game. On last week's pod, we're saying how could be another dust up. We haven't been in fine form recently, but Milicic and the boys worked over the training pitch over the week, and obviously they've implemented a sort of different system, which we'll take you guys through, but it generated the results that we need. And just as a little tidbit of information, this is actually the first time this game was the first time that the Macarthur Bulls actually came from behind to win a game. And scoring those 2 goals straight after Parias' wonder strike was really good, heart that the boys showed in tough conditions.
Yeah, and it was good to see that we sort of took a step back after the past couple of weeks and sort of looked at what we could have done better. And it was nice to see Milicic implementing changes to the formation there. Fox Sports did have it listed as a 4-3-3, but it was in fact a 3-4-3 or 5 at the back with...
I was looking at that because... Yeah. On game day, you're looking at the lineup that comes out just before the match kicks off, and you're thinking, "Where's our left back?" And Fox Sports had Suznia at left back, but then when they actually lined up, it was the 3 at the back, and the wingers were operating as this, transition force. As in, when we're in attack, they are very high wingers, and then when we're in defence, they are basically wing backs. So all was tracking back. So Sayeda was tracking back as well.
I think Fox Sports just fucked up there. They obviously don't care about the A-League coverage, because after in the post-match game, Milicic was like, "Oh yeah, the boys were solid in midweek. We practiced the formation, and everyone's loving it." So there was a change.
Though.
Didn't call him out.
Oh, he's a gentleman.
He wouldn't have seen the Fox Sports coverage. He just came off the pitch.
Yeah, fair. But yes, so that worked for us though. We were able to get a bit more control in the midfield, you would say, because one of the things that happened under our previous formation was that we'd get into an attacking flow, we'd push our wingers very high, and they'd have to check back to a left back or a right back as an outlet, because the defenders would usually be able to pinch us in against the sideline. And what would end up happening is that outlet, they'd make either an overlapping run, or they'd be sort of caught too forward out of position. And then all it takes is, one poor pass or one scrappy miscontrol to be dispossessed. And all of a sudden it was, bomb the ball forward, and it's a race to see who gets there first, either our defenders or the attackers. And usually it would result in a good chance for them. So I'm glad that we steadied the ship in that respect. And without really having to sacrifice too much going forward. It's just making sure that we've got the wingers actually going back and forth, doing their job, making them defend as well as attack. And I thought, despite, Tommy Orr getting absolutely schooled for the first goal, he just hung off him, and Parias, you're thinking from there, he's not going to shoot surely, but...
On his weaker foot as well.
Yeah, we can't say Tommy got hammered, but, it was a wonder strike. Still. And, apart from that, though, it was really well defended from Orr and Societa, who's tracking back, actually really paid dividends for us in terms of bailing out the defenders.
Yeah, and as you were saying, with having sort of the 5 at the back, Like when we line up in a usual 4-3-3 anyway, if Milligan's playing in a midfield role, which he hasn't been lately anyway, but he tucks him in between the two centre backs anyway. So I guess
It's not that different.
starting with him there just sort of like sets it from the start. There's no need for him to like drop in at all. Like,
yeah, it's more simple.
We can sort of say like, okay, well, we know he's going to be there. We don't have to wait for him to check back in and waste that time. We can move it across the pitch quicker because he's already back there. And then, as you were saying, it felt like we had an extra man open because often we'd get sort of clamped out on the sideline there. But having the wing backs in support definitely felt like we had sort of always an extra option, which is it worked for us. So it's good to see.
Because then their midfielders are in two minds. Do they push to the sideline to get to the winger, or do they tuck inside and limit the space for the midfielder? And I think because of that, uncertainty, people like Loic Puyo were able to get on the ball more. I think he had his best game for us in the way that he was able to dictate the possession style. Ben Yat had a lot more time and space to do what he does. So I think that opens up more of our attacking midfielders to have less onus on them defending and more space on the ball to be able to put balls in the right places and get us really purring in attack.
Yeah, because you want those attacking players to spend their energy going forward. Like you don't want them to sort of get tired out and lose their legs giving all this defensive support, which when we've seen Puyo in that centre mid role or even that attacking mid role, he's spending a lot of time working back and then he's out of legs by the time he can sort of turn the ball over and push it forward. So,
yeah. Hey, you know what else I noticed as well? A couple of times when we had that ability to really like put the ball out to the wing and we were rolling forward in the way that you might see a team rolling when they're counter-attacking. Our centre-backs, like our right and left-sided centre-backs in Suznia and Jovanovic actually got forward a fair bit, which I was surprised by. It was as if, Ben Yat or Puyo or Jean-Ro, if he drops back into that deeper midfield role, was putting the switch pass on or putting a ball through for a winger. And then the centre-back goes, oi, sit back and I'll just bomb forward. And that's why you saw the likes of Jovanovic on halfway doing heel turns and Suznia getting near the box to lay it off for a shot for Ben Yat. Like, I think it actually works surprisingly well. You can't do it all the time, obviously, but it's a bit of a thing that opposition defenses will not be able to deal with because it's like, what are you doing up here? Where's my man?
Obviously, it's not as extreme as like Sheffield United where you have overlapping centre-backs running through on goal.
True.
But
I don't see any other teams doing it in the A-League, and I think it can be something a bit unique about us.
Yeah, the only like comparison is probably like Tonic from Mariners, but he's dribbling it out himself. He's beating like two players and then releasing the ball. But yeah, I think again we had that extra man because they were able to sort of risk pushing up a little bit, knowing they have at least the two other centre backs back there and then the other side wing back tucking in. Definitely. Hopefully we see more of it going forward.
Yeah. And I think that change also allowed us to ping the ball as a crossfield pass or as a switch ball much quicker because we always had that option to play. It wasn't always having to go back and then recycle all the way around the back. And by the time you get to the other side, the opposition defensive shifted across and pinched us on that sideline again. It was much more of a quick get it to a midfielder. Ben Yat does the crossfield pass to an Orr or a Susayeta or a Franjic if he's up there too. And it worked for us. It worked really well.
Yeah, I think we saw that especially in the second goal, which we'll get into just because I think it was a switch from Ben Yat to Jovanovic, and then he just had Tommy right next to him, sort of 2-on-1 on that left side, and then we were obviously able to get across him. But
and the same thing even happened out of defence for the first. Like I know it wasn't a midfield pass, but that switch ball, quick, before the defence gets across and actually deals with you, moving it quickly, and Franjic was able to pick out Derbyshire for our first. It was a brilliant cross, and like that quick movement is how we're actually going to score our goals, because we know what we're about, and so do oppositions. And so it's about, can they stop us even if they know what we're doing? And the answer against Western was no, they couldn't.
Yeah, no, they couldn't stop two perfectly placed crosses. Derbyshire still had a lot to do though, like leaning back, and the fact he still managed to sort of float it over their keeper is, I mean, hats off.
Mate, he's got a magic head, doesn't he? He doesn't get up like Cahill, but at the same time, he just knows where to be. And, you know, there's been very few central defenders who've been able to actually marshal him one-on-one. Obviously, when he's outnumbered, it's hard, but even still, he's a handful. And you can see oppositions getting nervous when we start whipping in those crosses with frequency.
Yeah, well, another thing with our formation, I think it helped us get more numbers in the box than we've seen usually. Usually it's just Derbyshire in there against 4 defenders. But because we were able to push the likes of Societa up, I'm like, it just gives that extra option on the back post, and sort of, even if they're not gonna mark them as tightly as the Derbyshire, still sort of takes the attention away from him, creates a bit of chaos in the box.
Yeah, it's another option. And if we are intent on swinging balls into the box, the more bodies we get in there, the more it's going to pay dividends for us. And it did with that second goal. Did you want to take us through it, Dan?
Yeah, so as we were saying, the ball gets flipped out to Jovanovic on the left side, who just has all the time in the world, just nonchalantly kicks it over to Tommy and says, have a go. Why not? Nothing else is on.
And there's no pressure on Tommy either, is there?
Yeah, no pressure. And he puts this like massive ball in, and it's gone into the sky and just come back down. And just as a late run in the box, Societa just runs perfectly onto it and gets a little head onto it at the 6-yard box, and it's in the back of the net. So
yeah, easy as you like.
Caught us by surprise, definitely. But
yeah, you're not expecting Societa to get a headed goal. He's much more, technical, ball at the feet, dribbling and such. But, it told you all you needed to know about the quality of the ball and the timing of the run. I mean, it was unstoppable. There was 3 defenders around him, and he just darted in and got there. Perfect. Unstoppable.
And I think you could see from the reaction of Jovanovic, like the ball was a cracking ball from Tommy, but it was a bit hopeful from where he was. It was very deep. Like, had no right to put it where he did. And, 2-1 up leading into half time, it's the best position you want to be in, considering we're 1-0 down.
Yeah, and that's the kind of delivery that a Tommy Orr gives us. I know he was our first player that we'd signed, and some people are looking at that and going, well, does he really have the quality? He was, he's obviously been overseas, and he's come back, and, he was part of that Central Coast Mariners side that was quite dire. And he copped a lot of flack for not being that really inventive playmaker, wide midfielder. Yeah. But he can do a job. He can whip a cross in. He can, take defenders on, and he's tidy enough. And guess what? That's what he gives us. That's exactly the game plan. That's what he's there to do. And I think since he's come into the side, our crossing style, our plays have actually looked more dangerous rather than just hopeful.
Yeah. He had that reputation of a crossing merchant, but if we're gonna be a side that just gets 26 crosses into the box the entire game, you want him. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair. So yeah, we go up 2-1, and Western sort of drop their bundle, and we're on top, and that continues into the second half. And because of the way that we can play, when we're up, we know we can shut down the shop and just give them no room to breathe or no room to attack. I wouldn't say we did that. We still pressed on, and we attempted to play our game, but I don't know, Western were just toothless for the majority of the match, and they had to resort to a bit of long ball. Lockie Wales, had a late couple chances, and there was that sort of penalty box scramble right at the death, which gave everyone a heart attack. But apart from that, they didn't really offer too much, not even on set pieces, which I was surprised by with the likes of Diamante there. but yeah, we shut them down, and it wasn't because we shut down. We didn't stop playing, we didn't stop attacking, but we possessed and we managed the game, and it was really good to see once we got up that we could actually be a professional side and not let them counter us and not over exert ourselves going forward, but just being mature.
Yeah, definitely. Like the way we played, we weren't scared of sort of overextending ourselves, which that's the way we need to be playing when we're in this position to really keep the pressure on the other side. And, I thought we would have maybe put the nail in the coffin a couple of times. Lockie Rose had 2 pretty good chances once he came on. And on another day, he probably puts one of them away. I think he probably should have at least tested the keeper on the off the Martis cross on the byline there, and he just sort of caught it wrong and put it over the bar.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah. And then also that Benyat breakaway. And we've seen this, I think, 3 or 4 times this season where we're able to counter and move it through the midfield. I think, it came from it came from the Jovanovic Maradona spin heel turn that he luckily pulled off. But then, Benyat running at the defense, and it happened again where he just sort of
dwelled on it.
He dwells on it, probably overthinks it, and then in the end just doesn't do anything with it, doesn't get a shot off, doesn't find anyone.
You can blame the ball carrier, but at the same time, he's thinking pass, and there's no one to pass to. Derbyshire is pewing off in case it goes wide so he can get in on the cross. He's not going, put me through. A winger's not getting there. There's a bit of confusion, I think, in that play. When I think what has to happen is Benyat just has to be selfish and go, you know what? Nothing's on. I'm having this.
Just cut it inside on his right and just bang one in.
Yeah.
Like at the time watching it live, I thought, I should have played someone, but the supporting runs were not the best. Like no one was breaking the defensive line or anything. It was just very stagnant from us. But hopefully, if he's in that position next time, hopefully he realizes I just need to take this myself, and he can hit him. And then hopefully he can sort of break the duck of goal scoring that he's been in here. So.
Yeah. And in saying all of that, we did push them offensively, but there were times when Western did have opportunities, and it took a bit of defensive brilliance from us at times. We were really steady. Never really looked, stressed in defense. We weren't stretched or anything, but there were some really gilt-edged times where we had to get it right, and we did. You want to take us through that one, Daniel?
Yeah. So as you said, there was a couple sort of hopeful long balls from Diamanti, who was dropping way back, like almost into the back line to get the ball at his feet, which I think is a testament to how well we were keeping him out of the game. But yeah, ball in from deep. I think it was a free kick and on halfway, and Diamanti just pinged one in, and our entire back line was asleep, and they get an easy knockdown. Federici's in no man's land, and thankfully Milligan just happened to track all the way back behind Federici to sort of clear it off the line as he's running backwards, and managed to flick it out somehow and not hit it into the 3 oncoming Western players. So
yeah, that was
right. I think we got away with one.
So Milligan, again, if we rewind it back a little bit before even that moment, there was a time where Lockie Wales was put through sort of on the closer side to the grandstand, and Milligan, who's, probably beat for pace by Lockie Wales, but he sticks with him, and Wales has a chance to shoot, but Federici stays tall. He doesn't give him the angle, and then he hesitates, and then Milligan's able to just get in there and does basically a pirouette at the same time as knocking Wales over, legally. He bodies him. And it was just brilliant, to not only not have a goal conceded, not concede a foul, not have a corner kick is just absolutely brilliant. And then I think he kicked it down the other end, and we were away again because Western had overextended. So that's what he's there for. and, a captain's play, like just used all of his experience, all of his guile, and got us out of a sticky situation there.
Yeah. And I think when you see a play like that, like watching it live from the ground, you just felt like, okay, we're not losing today. Like that play just inspired so much confidence. I reckon it definitely would have sort of energized the boys on the field to sort of pick it up and tough it out for the last 15 or however many minutes were left.
Yeah. You get a sense of things.
Crucial play. Yeah.
You get a sense of things. You go, okay, like even the little innocuous things like the, if it's a throw in and, it's come off both of the opposition and your team at the same time, but you get the throw, you're thinking, oh yeah, but the gods are with us today, Yeah. Whereas, other days, a couple calls go against you, you start to drop your head, start to doubt yourself. And so playing with that confidence is really key. And, Milligan gives us that. Other players who really turned up, and across the board, you could say we outperformed Western United. It gives you that just confidence in each other that you're going to come away with the 3 points on that day. Big effort from the team. Our next segment, we've done something a little bit different here. We're going to look around the league and pick out our 5 best players for a 5-a-side team. We know a lot of people in the Macarthur love a bit of indoor soccer, or 5-a-side summer soccer. So we thought, what, why not pick out our top 5? So Daniel, take us through your 5-a-side team, dream A-League 5-a-side team.
Okay. I wouldn't say my dream A-League side team. I've gone for a side that I think can win a game here and put on a bit of a show as well. So in between the sticks, I've put Ollie Sale, who we're up against this weekend against Wellington. And if you've been watching him this season, the amount of reflex saves he makes that are just otherworldly, like almost certain goals you'd think, 6-yard box shots that he's just managing to get a hand on. I think that's just perfect what you want for a 5-a-side team.
Exactly. And you know what? Just to quickly point him out, like he's dethroned Marinovic at Wellington, who, you look at over the past couple of seasons, he's been just an unstoppable keeper. And so for someone to unseat him, like you're thinking he must have some quality. So he's a good keeper, young keeper, Ollie Sale there. And
obviously, I'm not sure how well he is at moving it out from the back. I saw a little bit of it in the Melbourne game. I think he'll be good enough at being able to sort of be another anchor from the back there, find the likes of Mark Milligan, who we've got in centre back here for my team. I just want someone that can sort of be a defensive stud. They don't need to get forward, but they can also hit a pass. Any thoughts on that one?
Yep. Milligan, centre back for your 5-side team. He's your hard man. He's the someone who can just foul someone if there's a
get under the on the other team. Get under the skin, push someone up into the net as they're going down the sideline. Just be a real grub. And then
Nigla.
On my left and right mids, I've gone for Diamanti and Ninkovic. They're probably my favourite 2 players in the league, and I just think they'll just cause mayhem to any side they're versing.
Yeah, you won't be able to get the ball off them. We see it on the weekends as well. It's like they've got the ball on a string, and that's a massive asset for a small-sided game.
And then up front, I've gone for a little bit of trickery and a bit of pace. Pace usually isn't that as important in 5-a-side or indoor, but over short distances and his trickery, I think Mohamed Toure is the striker I want, just to be able to get in behind. Run on to the end of balls from Ninkovic, Diamanti, and Milligan. He's just going to be eaten all day.
It'll be one of those ones where Ollie Sale gets it at goalkeeper and just throws it forward and he just flicks it on.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Can't throw it over halfway on the full though. Got to remember that.
Yeah, but Ninkovic and Diamanti for the volley, you can do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'll take you guys through my 5-a-side team. So I'm starting up front with Bruno Fortaroli, and, he's the tuner. He scores goals. He's good for hold up and on rushing attacks. So, when you pass the ball to him, he's going to retain possession and be able to do something with it. He's tricky, and he's got a massive, massive right foot. He can just ping the ball. in left mid, I've gone with Keanu Bacchus. Now, he usually operates as a central midfielder, but in terms of, a small-sided game, five-a-side, I think he's got what it takes. He's tricky, tidy, and he can bang them from range. You've seen over the last couple of seasons, most of the Wanderers highlights are Keanu Bacchus looking in an attacking sense, going, oh, nothing's on, I'll have a ping, and it usually goes top net. So
and
it's huge.
I think in a five-a-side setup, it's never a bad thing to have someone that can sort of play a bit defensively and offensively as well.
Yeah, he's got the versatility.
He'll be able to get back and get stuck in. So
absolutely. Next person I've gone with is Markel Susieta. You see him, he's deployed as a right mid most of the time for us, but he does do that sort of free roll. He drifts around, he picks up ball in space wherever it is. And so, yeah, you do need that kind of player who can be that little magician. And I think that's what Susieta brings to my team. We know all about him. I don't need to say any more. He's a magician.
Enough said.
Yeah. Ruong Tonyuk is my centre back. He's just a big, mean machine who's, going to just maul a striker. And I reckon the reason I've put him in here is he's a big reason why Central Coast have had such success this season. He's not going to be beaten in the air. He's been immaculate with his tackles and interceptions, and he's not too bad at playing the ball either. For a big man.
He uses his body well when he's sort of driving it out of the defense.
He can dribble as well. Like, you'd be surprised. He's got a lot in his locker. That's why I put him at centre back.
And then, I'll be honest, when I saw his name on your team there, I was thinking about subbing him in for Milligan there and just stealing him. But he's just quality.
Yeah,
good to watch.
No one's getting past him either, and he's a massive dude. Like, you got to think five-a-side, someone's going to be having a shot. You got to get his body in all around him. You're not gonna. And then Jamie Young, I thought that I looked at Ollie Sale and I thought about Federici, but I think Jamie Young for five-a-side, he's got such good talk. He's strong and experienced, and I reckon in the A-League he's actually pretty underrated. He's been around a long time, and so the new Flavour of the Month goalkeeper is always the one that gets talked about. Ollie Sale is the Flavour of the Month right now, but Jamie Young's been doing it for years, and he's been consistent in it. I think you can't go past that, and he's going to be massive for me in my five-a-side team. To our listeners, just
who do you reckon?
What?
I was going to say, who do you reckon wins that out of the two sides? I think that. Team. Okay,
of course,
guys. If you're listening here, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, just leave a comment saying whose team you'd think would win. I think it would be a quality game, and obviously my team would win. But
and also, if you reckon you got a better team, drop it in the comments and tell us why. Tell us why those players are better, more suited to a five-a-side team to win. We might run a little comp at the end of the season. We'll see if we can get them all together.
Bull Banter five-a-side.
Yeah, sorry, it's all good. We'll get them out here. We know people. All right. Our
no, we don't.
Segment, very quickly, we want to take you guys through a little review of the Northbridge Bulls game that happened on Wednesday night. So Northbridge were up against Marconi. Marconi, obviously, they're always usually a quality side. And the Bulls have been up against it, the young Bulls, so far in the NPL season. They're anchoring the table at the moment, yet to produce a win. It ended up 3-3, but it was a really enthralling encounter. So I'll take you guys through it. To start with, it was pretty even. And then Michael Russ, who dropped into our NPL 1 team, got his marching orders in the 13th minute because he went in for a challenge with a stomping motion. It looked pretty innocuous. I had a look at the highlights. It looked innocuous, but the ref was really quick to produce the red card, and he got a bit of a push and shove from the Marconi players. I think hopefully he learns from that.
The Marconi players are a bit wrong for that, I reckon. Like, they should have got a yellow card because they come over, start pushing him and staunching him.
Yeah.
Even if it's a red, bit of a, as you said, innocuous, but not a good start to the game when it's 13 minutes in.
So it puts us on the back foot, and, Russi will have to think about how to not do that next time. Especially, we don't want him to do it for our A-League side. That puts the boys under a lot of pressure.
Red cards carry over at all in between NPL and A-League?
Question. I can't say for sure. I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Because it's different.
It could just be a tactic for him to get back into the match day squad for Macarthur, I reckon.
Oh, I'm not available for selection for MPL 1. You got to play me.
Yeah.
Jeez, I don't know
100%.
about that.
No.
Anyway, so because of that man advantage, we're down to 10 men. Marconi go 2 up before half time, with one of them really should have been dealt with by the keeper. There was a long range strike that ended up being spilled into the path of the non-rushing attacker by Ryan Wood. And he's our, what would you say, 4th string goalkeeper for Macarthur Bulls. There was another keeper. I can't unfortunately remember.
Is it Schumann? Is he the backup keeper for Macarthur?
That's right.
I know he's injured. Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's another guy as well.
He drops into NPL 1.
No.
And there was another keeper we had whose name slips my mind at the moment, but he's gone over to a Croatian side. So he would have been playing for Northbridge. But Ryan Wood gets the call up, and unfortunately he spilled it, the long range strike into the path of the non-rushing attacker, which led to 2-0. But half time, and then the boys, they come back out and they have a bit of fight in them. Lachlan Sepping, with a captain's example, absolute
what a fucking banger.
Just an absolute bomb from 25 yards, which cleared out the cobwebs and really swung the game, the momentum of it all, back into our favour. The boys went right off as they should. Lachlan Sepping scoring, of course, against his former club. It doesn't get much better than that. It's just curled perfectly, unstoppable. No keeper in the world is saving it. Probably the best goal we've scored as an entire football organisation so far this year. Like, I don't
know, the Derbyshire tap in off of Susaota's brilliance is up there.
You can't. No.
Yeah, no, it's not. We haven't scored a bomb, and honestly, is Macarthur? I think the best chance we have of scoring a bomb is if Bernat just puts one in from like 30 yards.
Yeah, just he has to decide to do it. It's not like he doesn't have it in his locker. He just has to flick.
Otherwise, all of our goals this season are definitely coming from within that 6-yard box.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I can't wait to see. I hope we keep Lachlan Sepping, because if he can do that at Campbelltown Stadium, that's going to bring people in to the games for sure. From there, it was all our momentum. We added goals from Rory Jordan, who was set up really nicely by a composed Moody Najjar. He got through, and instead of sort of doing the stumble and shot, he kept his composure, kept his feet, even though the defender was giving him heaps, and he just laid it nicely across, and Rory Jordan was there to get on the end of things. And then we had Bull Jork, who got in behind and slotted home. It was from a goal kick. There was a little nod through. I think it was a misplaced header from a defender, but Bull Jork read it and he got in behind and slotted it nicely. And
not the cleanest of finishes. Obviously, the keeper getting a hand on it, but
he did what he had to. He still scored it. Couldn't stop him. And then from there, everyone's celebrating. The bench is jumping on the field. Northbridge Bulls are just going absolutely off, thinking they'd won it because it was in stoppage time. But that wasn't the end of the tale. There was another late collapse from our young Bulls, allowing another stoppage time equaliser. It sort of reminds you of the round 1 fixture where,
against Sutherland,
where they drew 2-2. And it was very disappointing to see, because that kind of trauma of losing or not losing it late, but being drawn to late twice, it just gives you this idea, maybe we're not meant to win, or maybe we can't hold on to the lead. And it was honestly pretty poor defending. You look at the goal, it was just a throw that went into the box. The header went like diagonally backwards. I don't know.
I think 3 players for Northbridge sort of center on the ball to go towards it, and then it ends up being sort of the right mid that sort of thinks, I need to get something on it just to get it out. And
snaps it up.
Just a bit of a lack of composure from the defensive side there. And it just a bit of a scramble in the box, and they tuck one home late. And definitely this time, salt in the wounds, being a man down for 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Fighting back from 2-0 down to 3-2. It would have been a monumental win, but
it's heartbreaking, and you could see that on the players' faces at full time. A lot of them slumped to the ground, and they're going to have to pick themselves up. But at least they showed that they're capable. They've got heart. They've got the ability. They just got to, put the full stop on the sentence, so to speak. Get there, do the whole 90 minutes.
They need to get their grammar in order.
That's right. I love that. Next up, we are going to jump straight into the preview of Wellington Phoenix. We're playing against them in Wollongong on Sunday. We've gone through what they're all about before, but, mate, they've been, if not for City, you would say they're probably one of the form sides of the comp. They've been pretty imperious and looking quite unstoppable in their recent games. They smashed Melbourne defeat 4-1. We have
that's pretty standard now, right? To put at least four past Melbourne.
Yeah, so they didn't play very well, obviously. No, look, Melbourne have their own issues, but credit where credit's due. Phoenix had to score those 4 goals, and they were very good goals, each for their own reasons. The pick of the lot was, I'm sure you would have seen it if you follow the A-League at all. They've been plastering it all over social media and just going on and on about it, but with good reason. Reno Piscopo with a touch that's just indescribable, like shades of Maradona.
Chef's kiss touch. That's what they call it.
Yeah, exactly. Picks it out of the sky, and then he's able to put this brilliant, like Thomas Rosicky-like pass on the way through. Wellington work it up the field and just isolate, go one touch. And then Hamed bangs it into the top of the net.
Tough finish too.
Yeah. The keeper, to his credit, didn't give him much to aim at, but beat him near post, top corner, and just thumped it home. And, if we have to face the counterattacks like that on the weekend, then it's going to be very difficult to deal with. But yeah, Wellington Phoenix, what do you reckon, Daniel? Do we change what we've been doing? Do we stay the same? Do we think that we learnt from the first time we played them, that 1-1, where things, to be honest, went our way?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we return to the 4-3-3 or whether we keep the 3 at the back system. I think we will return to the 4-3-3 just because it typically sets up better against the 4-4-2 that Wellington likes to use. But I wouldn't complain if we go with that 3 or 5 at the back again, just to, if we're more comfortable defensively in that, then I'm all for it, because Wellington are another sort of counter-attacking side that can really exploit us on the wings, where you have the likes of Davila and Piscopo, sort of similar sort of roles to the likes of Diamante and Guarciana. And, with that 3 at the back formation, we were able to keep them quiet for 90 minutes against Western.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we use it again to sort of limit those 2 players, because they are very dangerous for the Knicks.
Yeah, I think Milicic will stick with this. You don't just make a whole new formation and then just rubbish it after a week, and especially if it's been successful. I think he'll build on that. I think that he'll want to have more midfield control, because if you remember, you cast your mind back to when they played at Campbelltown against Wellington, Alex Rufer and Cam Devlin really held the ball away from our midfielders quite well. And Davia as well, he could just win a foul whenever he wanted. So we want to have more control of that midfield. I think going with the 4 in the middle is the way to do that. The thing we've got to be wary of is Hamed and David Ball bursting in behind, because they are, both of them, quite fleet of foot. They might not look it, but yeah, they can cause you problems with their pace. And they're diminutive as well. They can do lots, they know when to make the right runs. They know when to hold the ball up. And they're dangerous. So we've got to be really aware of that. But I think with a bit more midfield control, we can actually influence the match a bit more. We can possess the ball as we like to do. We can get that, early switch going and whip the crosses in. And I think, that's a vulnerability for Wellington, with Andrew Durante still out, I believe. They've got Stephen Taylor back there. He's obviously, his record precedes him with all he's done overseas, but he's only just out of quarantine, where he could easily be, not as sharp as Derbyshire. And I think if we get a good ball in and we get the space to put the good balls in, there's no reason why we can't, score a couple goals against them.
Yeah, obviously we should be having more of the ball against this Wellington side, but watching the victory game earlier in the week, we saw the Knicks looked very vulnerable when playing out from the back. There was more than a handful of errors where they were trying to progress the ball out of the back line into midfield, and they were causing cheap turnovers. The victory, to their credit, were pressing them sort of high, but on other times it'd just be a simple pass that they mishit. And as you said, Stephen Taylor's just returned to the side, so they might not be have that chemistry just yet. So if we can exploit that and sort of put it on them, then I think that'll do wonders for us. If we can cause a turnover, on the halfway line and then quickly go, then I can see that just being something that we need to really exploit and test Wellington, whether they're good enough to play it out from the back or whether they're just going to go long.
Yeah, it's something we look at every week, and we go through our opposition, the players that we're going to be up against, and you pick out certain names. Like, last week it's, Parias, can we keep him quiet? I mean, for the most part, yeah. Diamante, we kept him quiet for the most part. Berisha, we shut him down.
Yeah.
Going through Wellington's side in terms of like Devere, Piscopo, Hamed, Bull, there's a lot of names with a lot of talent there, and we've got to be better than them.
And McGarry as well is quality. The left back, he bombs forward, and he looked $1 million against Victory, which might not be hard to do this season, but the Wellington fans rate him so highly, and watching some of the highlights, he could definitely hurt us, similar to a Pariah, sort of having the freedom of space as a overlapping fullback would have. Just got to keep an eye on him, I think.
Yeah. So we just got to not overextend ourselves. But I think if we take the performance from last weekend as anything to go by, I think we can actually keep them quiet, limit their chances. And as long as we're smart with how we use the ball, we can be dangerous going forward. So that takes us in nicely and neatly to our predictions. What do you think is going to happen in this one, Daniel?
Well, looking at Wellington's recent games, I think the last 4 games have averaged over 4 goals per game from both sides. So I think we're on for that again. I'm predicting a 2-2 draw here. I probably need one more week of a good performance from Macarthur to sort of know where we're at. We've obviously come off a tough run against Mariners and Melbourne City. And to get the 3 points against Western is huge for us going into this game. But I'm playing it safe. I'm taking the negative approach here.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be 2-2.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. I know, this is the cycle. This is the fan cycle of my team lost, so I'm not going to predict for them to win the next week. And then they surprise you and you're in love with them again. And so you think, yes, we're the best team ever. We can win. So I'm riding that wave right now. I think we're going to win 3-2. Bulls will be able to score probably one of them at least from a set piece, 2 from open play.
Open play, surely they're crosses if they're from open play.
Absolutely.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think we're vulnerable at the back. Like you say, Daniel, I don't think that everything's all sorted and squeaky clean now that we've just won 1 game. I'll believe that when we keep a few clean sheets in a row. And so I think we will concede maybe once or twice, but we just have to outscore Wellington. And, if we actually try and play our attacking game the whole time instead of shutting down the game, we are capable of scoring goals. I mean, you cast your mind back to the Adelaide game. In the second half, we put 4 on them. So we can do it. We just have to have the belief and the will to do it.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a clean sheet from either side in this game, just because Wellington, they look so dynamic going forward when they can get forward with numbers, running at the defense. And obviously our defense and Wellington's defense isn't, it's not completely solid just yet. So I think it should be an open game, should be a few goals, should be a quality watch this weekend.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it. And if you're a gambling man, definitely bet on over 1.5 goals.
I think over 2.5, mate.
Even, yeah?
Yeah, 2.5.
Get some value. Fair enough.
Chuck it in a multi with, you know, Arsenal to win the Europa League, Liverpool to win Champions League.
Please.
What else?
No. Don't give
Think
our
about
viewers,
the return.
our lovely
Think about the
listeners and
return.
viewers who listen to this every week, don't give them bad advice. Shocking. Shocking. All right. We thank you guys so much for tuning in again to the Bull Banter podcast. Make sure, as always, to follow our social medias. That's Facebook and Instagram. We're on YouTube as well. We've got bullbanter.com. Make sure you're following all that for more snorkeler content.
100%. Hopefully, the snorkels make another appearance later in the season. And this
anytime
time
it's slightly raining. Oh, really quickly before we go. I was watching the NRL, and I don't recommend you do it, but before the Sharks game, there was a bloke who ripped us off. He decided, it's been raining a bit, and I saw these blokes in the A-League last night with the snorkelers. He's rocked up in a full, scuba gear kit, and it's not even raining at the place. And he just looks like the biggest dickhead. You know, I just thought that was stupid. You know, you got to be understated in your memes.
Yeah, like simple, I'll use the analogy of making a smoothie. Okay, your smoothie can't be too busy, is what I've heard. Okay, you can't
kill this podcast. It's over, mate.
You can't have too many ingredients in a smoothie. You know, you just keep it simple. Like Milicic should take the smoothie approach into the game at the weekend. You know, just have a little bit of almond milk. Almond milk.
No, it's over. It's done. I'm ending this. Goodbye. Sorry, viewers and listeners. Sorry.